This video is going to be the fourth video reviewing a series of videos on Chiefpigskin, the YouTube channel. This ends up being Wing T film, and what I really like, just like at just about any coaching clinic you go to, you can walk away taking a lot of things that are useful in your system and kind of philosophies that you can incorporate. And big time, coach emphasizes having a complete offensive system, and what he means by that is having different approaches to attack the defense, especially in the run game. Kind of starts with outpowering with numbers in a frontal attack, having the ability to flank the defense and stretch that defense horizontally, having misdirection with the backfield and or false poles by the offensive lineman, and then obviously with some play action passing. And didn't know how I wanted to go about reviewing this, because I mean, ultimately, if you're really interested in this, go subscribe, go get that touchdown membership. It's very affordable. Highly recommend it. A bunch of mini glazier clinics really on Chiefpigskin, especially through the YouTube channel. Great value. But decided there's about 6 plays that really stood out to me that ends up bringing full circle some of the things that I've discussed before and that prior videos have covered. So first one is the boot test, and you know, it lets a wing T coach identify what are the linebackers keying. Is it the guards or the backfield? Also lets the a wing T offensive coordinator check the reaction to motion, and that's something that I think you can incorporate regardless the offensive system. And then lastly, coach gives a couple coaching points about the tight end drag route versus man coverage or zone coverage. So here we go. Just going to go through the play a couple times here. You see the guards go away, or guards pulling to protect the quarterback, but the running back's going the opposite way. If you watch the linebackers, they are shuffling. Coach identified they're shuffling probably with the pre-snap motion, and they're definitely keying the guards. And then lastly, once he gets to the throw, you see the tight end sitting down. Don't go run yourself into coverage. You know, the defender is not trailing you. So stop your route, sit down in the middle of the coverage, be wide open, present a nice big target to the quarterback. Next series of plays that coach talks about is actually from one of his Film Fridays. I believe in the second season he talked a lot about this, and then obviously in the first season of his Film Friday showed the entire game. And started off with a buck sweep sucker in the particular game he goes over, and he shows how he's using guards to influence linebackers, how he's using tackles to influence DNs and make some of the blocks easier, and really gash the defense, cause all kinds of problems for the defense that he was seeing. Motions to outnumber and outflank the defense. Belly influence, again, to get that defensive end and create space. He really, again, all of this dynamic wing T stuff is incorporating ideas of a spread offense and getting an athlete in space. Well, sometimes that space can be in the middle of the field, right through the heart of the defense, if you've influenced the defense in the right way. And then just a reminder that the defense is going to adjust and counter adjust, probably from drive to drive. That's one thing that I took away from it, that as an offensive coordinator, that's something maybe I definitely could become more aware of. And really, a really good defensive coordinator is going to do their best to kind of keep you guessing play to play. So ultimately, that drive gets capped off with this belly play. Watch the defensive end here. So the tight end arc blocks, and that freezes the defensive end for a second. Now the wing actually gets underneath and inside of him, and there is a huge running lane up the middle for the fullback to go in for the score. Great example of creating space down by the goal line at that, and punching the ball in. And that's what most of that drive ends up being about. Next play I wanted to highlight was the wedge play. And it's the idea of have that full frontal attack. So you might have all these kind of misdirection type concepts, whether it's false pulls, backfield actions to move the ball. And ultimately, you need to hold the D-line accountable to find out, are they actually reading blockers or not? What I really like about Coach's discussion here really emphasizes, don't overthink it. If it's getting 5+ yards, probably run it again. Sometimes your game plan can really get simplified quite a bit if something you're just doing to test the defense and hold them accountable ends up being really, really effective. Like, just keep going at it, adjust the game plan accordingly, and understand that establishing this full frontal attack sets up a flank attack and vice versa. So here's the wedge play. Just watch the movement. And it's just simple quarterback wedge. So Coach Albaugh and Champaign Central, they were running tush push before it was popular by Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Just, it's 5 guys on the nose, and they pick up the linebacker a little bit, and the quarterback gets 8 yards. And Coach Albaugh's team, Champaign Central, they bully whoever the heck they're playing. They bully them on this drive, and they run wedge about 5 or 6 times repeatedly. But they are setting up. Hey, we are going to come straight at you. We're getting the ball and hitting you in the mouth right away, going downhill quick. You're forcing that defense to make sure they are actually being a sound defense and playing the blocking scheme. And if they're not playing the blocking scheme, just keep running the same play. This ends up being my favorite play. I did not know I was going to get this out of Coach Albaugh. He's running some speed option. And what I think every coach can appreciate about speed option, it is a very, very simple option play. It's probably something that I need to incorporate back into if I offensive coordinate again at some point. It's something I got to involve in my offense. A head coach, offensive coordinator that I worked for, ran it a lot in the time that I worked with him. And again, it's just very, very simple. And the sweet thing that coach is also doing here, he's using 2 guards influence pulling. I think it's a unique way of creating numbers out on the perimeter. Really, really like it. Let's check it out. So what you're going to see, both guards are going to pull to the bottom of the screen, and then the entire backfield, the fullback and the halfback, are going to work to the top of the screen with the quarterback pitching the ball eventually to the halfback. Really interesting play. Ball gets out into space quickly. The inside linebackers, if you go back and watch it, the inside linebackers, they're wrong. They're running to the bottom of the screen. Ball's to the top of the screen. Let's play through it all the way here, Coach. You can see good gain. Ball's out in space. Now, one tiny adjustment, and this is me with my option background. I would leave that outside linebacker, but that's just me. And again, I'm sort of nerding out because I do have an option background. If you leave that outside linebacker, that force defender at the top of the screen, tell the fullback to get up to the alley fitting safety. You don't have to sustain that block on that outside linebacker, and maybe you get even more yards. Next set of plays are a trap, belly, and wedge to finish a drive, and coaches ultimately highlighting that a full frontal attack sometimes is the best way to move the ball, even when you feel like the other team outmatches you. And in fact, it might be the best way because it's going to limit the effect of any stunts or blitzes. It's going to be a sneaky way to quickly get athletes in space, and maybe that space is only a 4, 5, 6 yard game, but you string a couple of those together, you're getting first downs, and that's the name of the game. Keep possession of the ball, keep moving the ball down the field, and ultimately, even though you're outmatched, it's just requiring quicker blocks, not necessarily long sustained blocks when you are quickly attacking the middle of the defense. So first play is going to be a trap, and as coach replays this a couple times, you're going to see a bunch of defenders outside the trap. They've got the defensive linemen's outside of it. They actually, the trap block happens on an outside linebacker. They got the outside and the inside linebackers looping. Looks like the outside linebacker takes A gap, and coach is emphasizing that right now. The inside linebacker takes B gap, and the down lineman is actually out in C gap on the trap play. Here, coach really loves up on the fullback. You see him. He's quickly in space. So here is the belly play. If you watch the top of the screen, the guard's pulling away. You see both the backside inside linebacker pauses for a half second. Coach is highlighting that. And then you also see the defensive back widening, so cutback support isn't there. Unfortunately, they don't get the bend back. And lastly, they finish off the drive with simple hitting wedge. And the defense can't get enough guys there. Last thing we'll take a look at is the play action post that Coach talked about, stretching the defense vertically. He felt like it was a big add that made his wing team more dynamic. Coach, on all the play action passes that he ends up covering, he's reminding, use formations that maximize your talent and play action passes to target your best deep threat. Lots of big explosive plays come off really good run offenses and their best runs. In all the clips that Coach shows of play action passes, they always end up in a one-on-one, which is you put your best player in a one-on-one a couple times during a game. If that gets you 2, 3, 4 big plays, really makes getting scores much easier. And on this particular play, check out the gather, gain, and fire quarterback drop and footwork and throw. All right, they're going to target the receiver at the bottom of the screen here. Quarterback lets it fly. Watch the quarterback. Great job getting the ball out on rhythm, one-on-one, down the field for a huge big-time score. So check it out. I think if you are just an offensive coordinator, Coach does a great job of reminding that the job of any offense is to test the defense, and ultimately having a good offensive system, to attack that defense. In having, you need some sort of quick hitting, downhill frontal attack type play, and that's part of any good offense. You need a way to outflank the defense with blockers and speed, and then some form of creating misdirection, whether that's motion with the backs, fakes by the backs, and or maybe influence blocks with the offensive lineman. Really, Coach constantly keeps on reminding, develop the system that has those things to test the defense, and trust that system. He mentioned multiple times where he maybe didn't trust that system enough against some of the better teams, and that was probably their best overall way of moving the ball was, what have we coached our guys to execute? What do they have confidence in executing? And let them go do that. Let them go do that at 100 miles an hour and see what happens. Emphasized over and over again, good offensive, work hard to pursue perfection. Even in Coach's best years, he points out that flat out, like, they were working hard to be perfect, but they weren't there yet. But they got close to it, because they kept working so hard, and then ended up having quite a bit of success with at least one state semifinal run. And then lastly, if you are a football film nerd, just a great video. If you enjoy watching running offensive plays and seeing why defenses break down, this is really good film. And then obviously, if you're a wing team nerd, definitely check it out. So some thoughts of why you would want to be a Chiefpigskin YouTube touchdown member to check out some really good film.
As always, guys, if you have questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Check me out and follow me on Twitter at Coach Klee. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. And if you have anything that maybe requires a longer response, hit me up at coachbrienklee@gmail.com. Thanks as always for tuning in. See you again.